Hey y'all, welcome back to the party. It is me, your girl BrittReacts, and today we're back for another history lesson, but this time from the Theo Vaughn. This one is entitled, there's the title, when I can read, I promise, Why the American Revolution Really Happened.
You are now tuned into BrittReacts.
There's two groups, right? The patriots and the loyalists. We discovered America, right? We developed these colonies along the eastern seaboard.
So there's 13 colonies.
But there's also the Native Americans. I mean, there's so many things going on.
There's so many elements going on. So what happens is everybody wants to bust out, cross over the Appalachians and take more Native American land. And it isn't just them. They are many, many nations that are lined up again. And there is different...
You mean, so is it many nations wanted to go over there?
No. Many Native American nations are there. So you might have the Delaware, the Shawnee. You might have the Six Nations of the...
Okay, I've got a few things I need to say. Number one, I don't know this Ken Burns. There is another Ken Burns who is like hold on, let's Google. I feel like he's like in the hip hop culture, the hip hop community, in some capacity. I just can't remember. Let's see, Ken Burns. So I think this guy is popping up first. Ken Burns, he's 72 years old. Kenneth Lorne Burns is an American filmmaker known for his documentary films and television series, many of which chronicle United States history, but there's another Ken Burns. So this is the guy we're looking at. I promise y'all there's another Ken Burns. I know I'm not losing my mind. Hold on. I'm going to figure this out. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Or is he Kenny Burns? Yep, Kenny Burns. This is who I was thinking about, Kenny Burns. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is, I don't know if I have ever watched Theo talk about history. I feel like maybe I have, but I'm also not surprised because he really has such a wide umbrella of topics on his show. And as much as I believe Theo plays into the like dumb, airheady, country, ignorant boy persona that makes him a lot of money, I think he's a really smart guy. And I think that because his guests sometimes, you have to be interested in these type of things to want to talk to these people, or at least be able to do research on them to know what to talk about. That's my opinion. But as soon as I saw this, if you don't know, some of you do, some of you don't, I guess. Welcome if you're new here. I've been diving into history more and more and more, and mostly from The Fat Electrician and Oversimplified and a few other channels. But Oversimplified is probably the biggest source for me as far as how I'm able to understand and retain the history. And on Oversimplified, a lot of the episodes, you see this kind of overlapping, like all the things that are actually going on, not this one event in this country or in the world. It's like all these things are going on. And while this one thing happened, this other one big thing happened. And so I thought it was interesting that he said, like, there's so much going on here. The third thing I'm noticing is Buffalo Hotel Chelsea. Are they in Buffalo? And the last thing is moving here to the Buffalo area, Western New York. I have learned a lot about the Native American culture. Like all of our streets and cities and everything are named after tribes or nations. And so, yeah, I just wanted to tell y'all that. I don't know why, but you're here. So you're welcome.
Nations are there. So you might have the Delaware, the Shawnee, you might have the Six Nations of the Iroquois Confederacy, the Seneca, Onondaga, Tuscarora,
the Oneida,
and Mohawk.
Yeah,
You got,
he's smart.
all the Cherokees in the South. You have all these different, and they're as separate and as unique as, say, Virginia is, or say France is, or the Netherlands. And so you need to treat them not as...
That's interesting. He's saying you can't group all natives together. They're I don't want to use the word tribes because I'm not sure if that's like politically correct, but he says nations. Their nations are just as different as like Virginia is from California or France is from the state of, Georgia. I don't know. That's an interesting take. I've never thought about that.
Virginia is, or say France is, or the Netherlands. And so you need to treat them not as a monolithic them. You need to treat them as themselves. In fact, Franklin's whole idea, Benjamin Franklin has the idea of uniting the colonies because he reads about the Iroquois Confederacy, and they said, we are a powerful confederacy, never fall out one with the other. So they had their individual interests, we call that states' rights, but they had the federal connection that protected them in their general rights. So I
didn't know that.
The great irony is the American Revolution destroys their confederacy. But what's going on here is people are wanting to move west. The British win the French and Indian War. Their treasury is bankrupt, and they have no way to protect the settlers as they're pouring across the land, trying to take land.
So the British are trying to control everything from over there.
Yes, but remember, they have no money to protect their own people.
So
they're
how
all
can
Brits
they do it?
from that. They also have 13 other colonies in the Caribbean, which are much more profitable. They're all based on slave labor.
Yeah.
Only Virginia and South Carolina are profitable. All the rest aren't. But we're the most populous. We're the most literate. We make things. We trade with them. And we're also on the continent, which is what everybody wants. The French wanted, the Spanish wanted.
On the continent. That is so wild. Oh, the other thing I was going to say, is this a new set for Theo? I like it. It looks like he has he's got some sponsorships going. He got a Celsius one. These alcohol bottles look like the On the Rocks drinks, but I don't know if that's what it is. His set is so nice. Go Theo.
Dutch want it. Everybody wants
to
this.
be in the Americas
and to own what we call North America. And of course, the native peoples who've been there for 20,000 years want to keep it. And so there's all these tensions. And so they're big land speculators too. Like normally you and I, we'd be working our land for 1,000 years for somebody else in Wales or Scotland or Ireland or England. But now we're over here and we can get 125 acres of our own. But there's big speculators like Franklin and Washington, and they just decided that Native American land is mine. Why don't I divide it up and sell it and be the middleman for land they didn't yet own? The British are like,
that is so crazy. They just decided to take ownership, to territorize, I don't know if that's a word, or terrorize these lands and make them their own. They didn't belong to them. Like if that is not colonism, gentrification, like that is insane. How do you just decide, yeah, there's people here, but it's mine now? That's awful.
Why don't I divide it up and sell it and be the middleman for land they didn't yet own? The British are like, we can't protect you. Our treasury is whatever. So not only can you not cross the Appalachians, in 1763, they made a rule you can't go over there. That enraged the colonists. And then they said, we need you to help pay.
The Stamp Act, is that it?
And they various things that they were going to tax us. Stamp Act, they proposed.
Remember, we learned about this oversimplified told us they basically put a tax on any and everything. Like, you sneeze, you tax. You flush that toilet, pay a tax. You know what I mean? There wasn't no flushing of toilets back then. But you understand what I'm saying. You blink, you tax.
Everybody went crazy.
That was amazing. That was a good sign of how the people had a lot of control.
Well, this is what happened. The individual colonies that had no interest in connecting with one another, Franklin had suggested back in the 1750s, let's get together and do a union like the native peoples can't do. And we all said, no, we're not giving up our autonomy. Nobody came. Nobody wanted to do it. But then as these taxes happened, as the decision to not allow colonists to go into Indian land was enforced, they just suddenly started coming together. And there's committees of correspondence. There's the Sons of Liberty. There's resistance. Women are hugely part of it. You never hear about this. They keep this thing going.
Wow,
they say we can do without these imported goods. We'll make our own homespun cloth. And so people are in competition. The ladies of this province are this. And so what happens is eventually, as always happens, and this happens in history so much, is that I tell you, you're acting radical. You may not be acting radical, but then you start acting more radical. You say you're being tyrannical. And I may not be tyrannical, but I start acting more tyrannical. And you get to this point where somebody says, we think they're storing arms in Lexington and Concord. Let's go and capture their leaders, this firebrand Samuel Adams and John Hancock, and let's collect this stuff.
So it's the weapons of mass destruction.
Well, it's their rifles and muskets and flints and gunpowder, and they go and the Patriots meet them on the green at Lexington, and the British say disperse. And they start to, and shot fires out. Somebody's hit. It's a massacre. The British kill 8 or 9 of us and wound others. And then they march on to Concord. And then finally at Concord, everybody said, F this, we're going.
F
and so they
this.
fight back. And the whole way, the retreat back to Boston is just a slaughter for the British. And then they're hemmed in.
It's a slaughter for the British, meaning the British were slaughtered or the British did the slaughtering. I kind of got a little lost in there. See, this is why oversimplified is so good for my very small brain. Oversimplified, I'm like, just listening to an intellectual speak, my like very artistic brain ain't clicking with that. So someone clarify for me, because I don't know how, but I got like a little, what? Doo-doo, be-doo-doo.
Whole way, the retreat back to Boston is just
water.
a slaughter for the British. And then they're hemmed in. They can get out. They've got the most powerful navy on earth, but they can't move out because there's just thousands of patriots who've rushed from Rhode Island and Connecticut and New Hampshire, as well as Massachusetts towns, to the defense of Boston, and they ring them and they've got them in. And then it begins a war that is going to take 6.5 years until Yorktown. And anytime you're in telling a story, you have to remember that everyone's who's in it doesn't know how it's going to turn out. And that if you're
right, that's what I was just thinking. Like, okay, 6 years to us is a long time, obviously. Like, it's 6 years, but like, we have 6 years and access to things, and like we live in a very modern technological world. 6 years back then, just not knowing what the outcome would be, my anxiety could never. My OCD could never. Like, no. That is insane. 6 years of just not knowing. Like, I have hives thinking about it.
who's in it doesn't know how it's going to turn out. And that if you're a good storyteller, you have people tune in, pay attention to the story, because you think it may not turn out the way you know it did. That's the essence of it. So I have people telling me about my Civil War series. They say, I went into that Ford's Theater hoping the gun would jam this time. Wow. And I went, yes, that's exactly what you want, right?
Let's look at a little bit of the minutia. So
Okay. Did we just switch topics? What did we just switch topics?
add, just to get into a little bit of the storytelling, to add some like blush to the cheeks of this conversation. What about
Theo.
Paul Revere's ride? What was real about that? Was he just a loudmouth? That some people said it was.
Paul Revere is the one who said the English are coming. Was it the English? There's something are coming. There's something, right?
Autism, he got a hold of a horse and some
Didn't
booze.
he say autism?
Was he just a loudmouth? That some people said it was autism. He got a hold of a horse and some booze. There's a lot of rumors going on out there.
Right.
Some of that's TikTok, but still.
Yeah,
Some of that's TikTok.
Let me dispel the most important thing, which is he did not say the British are coming.
The British. And some of you in my comments of the oversimplified breakdown of the American Revolution told me that like that didn't actually happen. So let's hear Ken Burns tell us.
He didn't say the redcoats are coming or the redcoats are coming. What he yelled was, the regulars are coming out. The regulars are coming out, meaning
What's
the
that
regular British army that has been stationed in Boston for whatever it is, almost 2 years, are coming out. And so he is a patriot. He's a silversmith and an engraver, and he's made an engraving of the 1770 event in March called the Boston Massacre. He calls it the Bloody Massacre. We end up calling it the Boston Massacre, when some of these occupying a standing army, this is the big deal, right? You didn't send an army to a place unless you were protecting them. You didn't send an army there to police the population. That's not what free people have, right? Is the army in your midst. So
the British Army is in the colonies.
Boston because there's so much.
Only in Boston or in all the colonies?
They've got a presence to protect the stuff, but they are in Boston particularly to try to put down the resistance to their taxes.
Got it. Not the law, the resistance to the law, I guess. Okay, I understand this man's success in history and storytelling. He does a really good job of speaking about history in the past as if it's present day and making it feel really important and really tangible. Like I really find myself like when he says like and we and what's going on is and what's happening, it feels almost like present day, like you're not listening to something that was hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So that is, I understand how this man is successful, and you can tell he's wildly educated in the topic, the general topic of history.
Resistance to that.
So the people realize that the military is there kind of against them.
And
that's kind of what we have a lot going on right now. So hypothetically,
a lot. I had a premiere of the
Theo?
film at the Telluride Film Festival. Episode
the
one.
film?
Telluride, beautiful over there.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. And we go every year, even whether we have a film or not. Anyway, so
the Kia Telluride, is it a Kia? Is it a Kia? The Telluride. Hyundai? No, it's a Kia. That's named after a city? How did I not know? Telluride, right? That's a car. They're actually nice. When you see the like black on black ones with the black tint, it's like a gangster mom car. It's nice. Telluride is a city? Who knew?
Over there.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. And we go every year, even whether we have a film or not. Anyway, so they were doing it. And when they got to the point when General Gage imported these number of ships from Halifax, Nova Scotia to go to occupy Boston, not to protect it, but to police it. And then you hear the voices from the past saying, a standing army in peacetime? This is horrible, you know, like that. And the audience in Telluride erupted because they're going, wait, that's happening now. That's where history can be your best teacher. To go, wait a second, did they just raise the temperature on that pot I'm sitting in? Am I about to be boiled? You know, what's going on?
Are we about to be boiled, y'all? Leanne Morgan's hometown had a witch. Somebody sent me the link to this on Patreon and said they can't wait for me to react to it once it's clipped up, and it looks like it has been clipped. She looks phenomenal. She's aging backwards. She looks, I am so happy for her success. If you don't know, I've reacted to her some time ago and like fell in love with her. She is literally Southern. Like she is what Southern is. It's like true Southern hospitality is who Leanne Morgan is. Anyway, off topic. Squirrel. That was good. Let me know your thoughts on that. Like I said, I just really enjoy listening to this man talk. I think he does such a good job at modernizing what feels very far away. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this. Let me know if you want me to watch another clip, and go and have the day you deserve. Bye.